right, guys, welcome back to the Addictively Speaking podcast. We have another episode for you, and I have a lovely guest today. Her name is Ashley Pekulski, and she is a momtrepreneur. And I'm just going to let you explain all of that to the listeners. So, Ashley, welcome, and give everybody a brief rundown of who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, thank you so much, James, for having me on here. I so greatly appreciate it. I'm so excited. So I am the mompreneur coach. I basically work with moms who started their business, really overcome that self-doubt to confidently start attracting their dream clients. I'm a single mom. I'm from Canada. I have my little fur baby, and that's me pretty much in a nutshell.
Okay, amazing. All right. So, This is obviously a podcast about addiction and recovery. So we're going to be talking about your struggles with addiction, how you overcame them, and where you are now. So let's just talk about when did what started your addiction? What really catapulted you into it?
Yeah, and this is a nice, like funny that you say this because I've been doing that whole inner mindset work, that healing for like a while now. And
Mhm.
I've been like always like pinpointing, going back to things. And I would think it would be like, oh, it's because like the family structure, loving family, great, amazing family, but the strictness or something, not having that open relationship, like compared to what I have with my daughter now. Um,
Right.
then I thought it was, maybe like not understanding me, not being the love or something there. But as I started peeling back, I knew it was with something that I went through in my childhood, and that was me being molested. And
Ooh.
guess I always tried putting that into the back burner. But as I started peeling the layers, that's when I was like, no, that's exactly where it came from.
Okay. So you were molested as a youth. How old would you say you were?
I was like grade one, grade two.
So you're quite young. So that's a huge trauma to experience at such a young age. Did you speak to anybody? Did you have anybody to speak to? Did you talk to anybody? Did you,
You know
how
what?
did that play out?
Yeah, so I was more like my mom, amazing mom. Like she did everything, like, you know what I mean? But she was more of that strict mom. So I think, in my opinion, like I was scared to go to her. What if I'm doing something wrong? And that, even like my voice, having that voice, like I haven't had a voice to speak up. And I think I took that in a wrong way. Even in high school, I was sexually assaulted by three men. That voice was like gone. Like when it happened, like too, like you're in that fight or flight freeze. Like I froze, right? So I don't think like I had anyone to really open up to. Like I think it was more of that scared pressure. I'm still trying to work through it to go back. Like how come I didn't stand up for myself? How come, like not blaming myself, but like really
Yeah.
working through that to make that like I guess peace. Like I am a single mom. I have my daughter. When she was young, I was teaching her these things like no one can touch you here or
Yeah.
there. And like I had someone that was babysitting her and she was in diapers. And I came home and she's like, I'm sorry, I tried changing her diaper, but she goes, no one can touch.
Uh,
So she's
uh,
like with this wet big diaper. But
hey,
so
at
yeah.
least it worked. At least the things you were teaching her, she put into practice. Because I
And she
mean, yeah, that's good. That's great.
no. But yeah, I'm still working through it. Like I made, I guess, the forgiveness part of it myself, but like I'm still trying to, like I can't remember like a whole bunch of things, right? And I know I do remember one thing too, like where my parents, actually not my parents, my grandma and my mom, we were sitting in the living room and they were like even looking at the pants and they're just like I don't know if they clicked in. I don't know if they knew. I don't know if like, you know what I mean? Like there's like other stuff that goes to it, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah. And that memory was like coming too. I know it's a little open there, but I'm an open book.
Well, it's good to be honest about these things. I think because people, especially young women, they have these things happen to them, and they don't use their voice. or that,
Scared,
as a
scared.
child, you didn't feel like you could go to the people that you should feel like you could go to, right? Because you felt like, what if it was you? What if it was your fault? So I think, you probably hold a lot of guilt for that, I imagine, because of, you know, you bared the burden of the whole thing, you kind of like internalized it all, I would
Yeah.
imagine, and kind of like
And
boxed it off, built walls around it, and protected yourself from it.
yeah, and honestly, like I can see, like even like my grandma, me and her were so close together. I love her to pieces. And being an AA, working with my sponsor, I'm just like, I don't understand why I take out like my emotions to her. I would say like it could be something little, and it's just like we had a conversation with this with my sponsor, and it's like I didn't have that voice, so everything that goes around me, like I like express it like in a way of like sometimes yelling, or like even in my high
Yeah.
school years, uh, you know, starting my journey, like, well, it was my journey. It was like finding myself and starting to love myself. But like I, started from the bottom part there with the addiction and, not really knowing who I was and not having that voice, but I was retaliating. I was, getting upset, fighting back because I felt like my voice was like suppressed. And then once it started coming out, but it was coming out in a negative way with
Right.
anger, frustration, resentment, not how to control yourself kind of thing.
So, when is the first time you remember using any type of drugs or alcohol? How old?
So I know like with my family too, like in the like younger age, whatever, like they would always give you like the little, champagne little thing or whatever to try, or
Yeah.
those like 5% something, 0.5%, not 5%, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
um, you
5%, that'll put you on your ass. Yeah,
know,
that'll put a kid to sleep.
but those little cooler things, and like there was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
barely
yeah.
anything in there, and like I remember trying those, and it wasn't like I was like right away guzzling or like, oh, like this is that or kind of thing, right? So I know more, it was like into high school, going out with friends, and that was when like the alcohol was there, because before going to the bar or something, or even to a friend's party or whatever the case may be, it was that's pre-drink, right? And that pre-drink,
Mm,
I feel like I wasn't just like pre-drinking just to have like one glass, whatever. It was pre-drinking to make sure you're getting tipsy and a little bit on that edge, and then you end up getting drunk because you're trying to
mhm,
catch up, kind of thing, whatever. So I
mhm.
feel those were like my first experiences, and I think it was like that whole out of control kind of thing. But looking back to it now, it's like I was using that to like hide my emotions, my feelings, who I felt like I was, kind of thing as well, like to wash away. Even like the last couple years too, or like even recently too, it's just like, oh, it's because it's the weekend. Let me have a drink, kind of thing, or whatever, and just like forget about like this or this and that to unwind, relax, kind of thing, which is not unwind, relax.
Right. Yeah, you're obviously using it for a different purpose.
Hmm.
It's not being used to just relax or unwind. You're making up things to use, aren't you? You're like, "Oh, well, it's Friday," or, "Oh, it's just a night in, it's a glass of wine, and then it's a bottle of wine, and it's a this and a that," isn't it? Kinda turns
Yep.
into, like, this thing. Alright, so you were a teenager, which is normal teenage stuff.
Hmm.
How old were you when you thought, like, this could potentially be a problem? Like, was it causing any problems in your life? Um, you know
So I would say truthfully, it would be after my daughter was born and I was
Okay,
22, I would say around that age, 22, 23, I would say. And
okay.
with that being said, so like I even experimented with drugs as well. So it wasn't just
Mhm.
alcohol. And
Yeah,
sorry, I'm just trying to plug this in because it keeps beeping. And but so I was doing that. But then when me and my daughter, we were like me and her father were separating, what ended
yeah.
up happening was I started drinking more. And when I started drinking more, it was leading one thing to another. And guess what? I got a DUI. And I'm not happy about that. But
No.
I was in college at that time as well. So it was just like a whole thing. And it was just like things started falling apart. I fell down the stairs one time and I mashed up my face. I got into an argument with friends, not remembering like blacking out and everything kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But hey, there was still times I got up in the morning, went to work, I did this, I did that, but like it was a whole thing that I started to say to myself, like, no, this is a problem.
Yeah. It's interesting that you were still like going to school and like functioning at that level. I mean,
Yeah,
especially blacking out and stuff like that. I mean, that's quite that's quite tough to do, to like keep doing the things you're doing. But I guess that's not actually sustainable. It doesn't last very long.
it
You know,
doesn't.
doing that. Yeah, you kind
No,
of.
it really doesn't. And also too, like I remember it was like my exams, and I drank so much, and then my mom, she's like, okay, I'm gonna drive you the next day. You have to go do your exams. And I'm like, Mom, I really can't. I remember throwing up right before the exams. But also
Oh,
too, it's just like it gets so out of control. But you keep thinking excuses to yourself. You're like, oh no, but it was just this bad one time. Or, your friends say, oh no, it was just this bad one time. Like, and then like having the 1 month no drinking or something, or you don't drink throughout the week and you're like, I'm okay kind of thing, right? Or you drink the next time and it's just like a couple of drinks and you're just finding these excuses to say
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just kind of build up these little outs, ways to get out of it, and just be like, no, 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 no. That was just a one-off. I didn't mean to go that far. It won't happen again. Yeah. You build up all these things in your head, and you have all these little easy excuses until you can tell yourself. It's just to make sure that you keep doing the same thing you're doing.
Mhm.
I know for me in my past, I was the same way. I would listen to other people as well, like a lot of people that would influence me there, but people I was with, they'd be like, "No, no, no, you don't have a problem, blah 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 blah," and then I'd just be like, "You know what? If I had a problem, they'd tell me. They're my friends. Why wouldn't they tell me?"
Yep.
And you just kind of continue down that path, keep going in that direction. Um, so you did your exams. So I imagine you
I
graduated,
graduated, I
right?
got my
You
diploma.
made it through that. Okay. So what happens next then? So how old was your child when you graduated, if you don't mind me
She
asking?
was probably, I think, how old was she? Like 1 or 2. She was probably two
Okay.
or three. It's 2 or 3, something like that. 2 or 3.
Is this affecting your relationship with your child at home while
No,
this is all happening?
actually, I was
Really?
a
Okay.
great mother. I was such a
Okay.
great mother. Like I raised her so well, like even with the whole mindset, with the love and like spending time with her. Mind you, she probably had no idea what the heck was going on as soon as she started getting older. But when
Right.
like 10, 11 started hitting, that's when she was more like, what are you doing kind of thing. And like you can see the outburst kind of thing in her. But we always had that connection, that relationship where we like explained our feelings to each other. Like there was times, yes, I messed up and I said, Sienna, I'm sorry, I apologize, and I explained my things with her. So the relationship was good. Like I still raised a great girl, and that was something that I was terrified of too, is like her father not being present as much. Me with the drinking, I'm like, I don't want her to have that cycle of trauma and all those things going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
But thankfully, luckily, like everything's so far so good. Like her marks are good in high school. I'm like, that's when I started rebelling. She's all into
That's good.
dance, and like she has that like a strong mindset.
Okay. Wow. All right. So you you did well in that aspect. So how many years of active addiction do you think you were in total?
Wow. Well, my numbers and my days and all that stuff is not always the best, but I would
Right.
say like half my life, I would say. Because I'm
Half of your
36.
life.
So I'm
Okay.
36, and I would say like 16
Yeah.
16 I started drinking, and then yeah, maybe more than half of my life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like if I
It's a
do the
long
math.
time. That's a long
Yeah, it is a
time.
very long time. It's like also too, like how much can your body take? Like,
Mm.
drinking those many days, or like, you know what I mean? Or like the amount of alcohol that you
Drinking
drink.
that heavy or drinking that hard.
And you feel it. You feel it in your body, and your hands shake, and you try to be positive. You're trying to work on these things. You're trying to like hold forward together. I don't know how I did it, to be honest with you, but I'm grateful that I got to like step out of that hole and removing that from my life. It's like it really, like, I see the greatness. Like I tackle things on differently. My mindset's completely differently. Like even recently, like I've been sharing a lot too. Like your body's like in this fight or flight mode, survival mode. We all go through it. We're all doing it, right? But once you
Hmm.
just like really be in that present moment, once you're intentional with your thoughts, your feelings, you start that inner mindset work healing. You just feel like your body's at peace. And of course, there's like things that will happen in life, but using these tools, and it's been a huge game changer because even recently, I lost a good friend, and like losing her, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it hit me like people die like this every single day. So many people are overdosing, and it's just
Yeah.
like I have like this whole thing, like I want like the whole system to be changed. I want this, like, yes, people, like how you're doing everything that you're doing, like bringing this value out, and being able to share, because it is a serious thing, and a lot of times it's like the norm society. This is what this is like what we do,
Drinking
right?
drinking is acceptable. Drinking excessively is acceptable. Drinking
Yeah.
and driving is acceptable. I
Hmm.
know tons of people who have DUIs. I know tons of people who've been, arrested for disorderly conducts and drunk and publics and, all that kind of stuff. And society sees it as fine. But I think sometimes you have to take a look and like, I know everybody's not the same and everybody's not an alcoholic, but we do make it so acceptable that I think kids don't see where they cross the line, like where it becomes like binge drinking and party drinking and rage drinking and going crazy and stuff. There
Hmm.
becomes a point where, yeah, when you take that, that should be a small window of your life. That should be like 21 to like 25.
Yeah.
That should be your window. Like that's your college, 4 years. Go have as much fun as you can. Like that
Hmm.
window shouldn't be like 33, 37. Like you shouldn't be
Hmm.
still going that hard at that age.
Percent.
That's probably affecting your life in a negative way somehow. I mean, I
Oh
can't
yeah.
imagine that it's not.
Hmm.
Um, so what led you to finding recovery? What led you to getting sober? What led you to make that decision? Was there a moment or did it come over a period of time?
So it was like over a period of time. Like I always knew, like, you know what, I need to stop. And I tried stopping on my own, or I did the 3 months by myself. And, I did the whole detox thing. And I was actually I did my 1 year sober completely. And I went to AA and I hit my 1 year. And then those little thoughts started coming in. It's like, oh, I know people who took a year break. They're fine, they're doing great, drinking a little bit here and there. It's going to work for me. And it was working, right? It was like, like I was like a little bit here and there. It wasn't all the time, whatever. But then I lost my friend, and we actually lost contact for a while. But we
Mm,
always had that good friendship, and it didn't matter if we lost that contact or whatever. Like we were always there, and she was going through her struggles, and I thought she was doing well and great. And then out of nowhere, it was actually my daughter's confirmation. Um, I found out she passed and overdosed, and it
mm,
was just really like I had my daughter's confirmation, and then there was like wine there, and usually, and I keep saying to myself, I'm like, I probably, like, if I didn't hear this news, if it didn't happen, I would have probably had my wine, gone home, gone to bed, whatever, and that's it. Or, and who knows, because you always say like, I'm okay, I can control it. But then it's like this time's good, next time's good, but then the next time it's like it's not so good. It catches up on you. That's what I'm trying to say.
oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and with her when she passed, um, I continued drinking, and I didn't get
Mhm.
smashed to the point I was blacking out kind of thing, but it was still the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday I went to a meeting. I messaged my sponsor on the Monday and my old sponsor. And
Mhm.
honestly, it's like I don't ever want to touch alcohol. It's poison. Like I don't like it. Like even my brother yesterday, we went Christmas shopping and he was buying that beer, and I'm like, do you really need that? I'm like, look at like, do you really need like even people like I was a smoker, I quit smoking, and I'm like, how many times do you turn to something because you think it's gonna relax you, it's gonna soothe you, it's gonna calm you, right? So those were my turning points. I just had that like either you stop or you're going to end up dead. And it's like you want to live your life to the fullest. And that was like the real raw thing to me. I'm always like real and raw and like, and yeah, that's something that just like hit me. And I was like, I have to do this.
That's kind of a really like that's like a huge moment is the realization that like in your mind that I either stop or I die or end up in
Hmm.
jail or
Yeah.
something bad happens. And that's it. That's the thing that yeah, turns it around, doesn't it? And it
I have a
makes you
daughter. Yeah.
yeah, you have a life to live that you have people who care about you who need you. So you need to do the things that keep you there for them. Um so you said you did 12 step,
Hmm.
yeah?
Well, I'm still
So
working on my
you
steps, finishing them off, but
you're still doing your steps, yeah?
but I'm still
So
working on
that's
my steps.
so that's interesting. I didn't do a 12-step program, but I think they are, I don't have anything against them. I think they're amazing for the people that they work for. So I know you can't talk a lot about AA because it is anonymous as
Hmm.
they want it to be. But so what attracted you to doing like a 12-step program as opposed to doing some other type of recovery based
Yeah.
um, detox or whatever.
So I did do the detox like program here that they had like in the center.
Yeah.
And I attended, they had meetings there too. But the community where I'm from, actually, I have good friends and they run this. And
Oh,
so
okay.
it was like the kids were playing at the park, someone's coming and saying, hey, I'm going here. Want to come with me? And I'm like, thinking of every excuses as to why I can't go so fast. And everyone's like pushing me to go, but it was the best choice I ever made. That was the first time I went. So it's really nice. I love it. It's like a family, to be honest with you. There's days I was actually more present going all the time. Right now, life is happening and it's just like one thing I'm doing here and there and going. So I haven't been as going as much, but that's my intention to start going more and more. And I love it. Honestly, I think it's like even like your recovery, it's people look at it like, oh, they have to go do these counseling or whatever the case may be, path you're on, but it's life. It's your life. You're learning how to be happy. You're learning to do that work on yourself and, really let go of those things to live that happy life, right? So I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, sounds like you really do enjoy it, and it sounds
I
like it's
do.
really helpful to you. That's
You know
good.
what?
That's really great. It's great to have those foundations on your recovery road. Is that like you have that is your spot and you're comfortable there and you're happy there, and that like if something happens that you can go there and feel safe, and that's important in recovery because like you said, like life is happening and that's good things and bad things. That's things that you can deal with and sometimes things you can't deal with. So it's always good to have that 12 step behind you. You just pick up the phone and call your sponsor, and then you
Mhm,
know they're there for you.
mhm.
Um so w- and now that you found recovery, so you're early on. We spoke earlier, and you're 8 months now.
8 months on January 2nd.
8 months on January 2nd. Well, we'll congratulate you early
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
yes, it's really great. 8 months, nothing to laugh at right there. Um,
Mhm.
um, what have you been doing with your 8 months? Have you been doing anything important? Anything?
Yeah, so
creative?
I've been working on my business. I have been working on myself. I have been investing in myself a lot. I think this whole year I've like really invested in myself, the whole inner mindset work, all of that stuff, self help, reading all the books as well, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just like focusing on work. I'm focusing on my business. I'm focusing on putting myself out there more, connecting with women, collaborating together. I'm actually doing a surprise that I'll be announcing
Ooh, exciting.
sooner. I did a book, co-author book, so that was something I did last year or the year before. But yeah, it's all adding, going that direction kind of thing. So I've been keeping myself very busy.
That's great. That sounds amazing. So there's a lot of good positive things in the 8 months
Mhm.
that you've been
Oh yes,
sober now.
a hundred
That's really
percent.
good. All
Yeah.
right. Let me see. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Is there anything like in your business that you would like to talk about? Because you said you work with, moms trying to um, build their own businesses and things like
Hmm.
that. So that's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
How did that start, and what is that like for you?
Yes. So basically, I always knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know the exactly what. Again, I went to do my college diploma, got that. I actually started a business program that was in my community that they were paying you to do your business plan. So I was like, okay, this is something like, catching my eye. I just didn't know the exact business. So I got introduced the whole life coaching. So I started with
Hmm.
that, and I absolutely love it. I love working with clients one on one. That's what I do right now. I have a client 3 month program, coaching program, and basically I just saw like the need. Like I just wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to have that time freedom. I wanted to do things my way. I'm the type of person I like to do things my way.
Control. It's the control aspect of it, isn't it? Yeah.
Doing it
The
my
addict
way.
has to have control.
But like also having that freedom of I can do it when I want to kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and I guess my dad's side of the family, they were always like the whole be your own boss kind of thing, whatever. And, financially on their own and like their own time freedom. And I guess I've seen that growing up. My grandfather especially. So like it's just like, I took that in, I guess, and
Hmm.
just wanted to start something different. And I saw the need, like I love working with moms is because yes, I'm a mom. I connect with moms and they say your ideal client is you, your past version you, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, those things that I have learned in my life, I actually take this in and I teach this to my clients, even to the world, because a lot of times too, starting the business, people are thinking it's the whole strategy aspect part, but it's really not. It's that inner mindset piece. That's the foundation of your success is doing that inner mindset work. And then everything else just falls into place. Like even like managing your time, managing the whole mom life, like it could get crazy. Really crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just love what I do.
Oh, that's amazing. So how long have you been doing that now?
I would say in the beginning, since COVID like started,
Okay.
that's when I fully started coming out, like doing my business part and working with clients. I've had this idea dream for like years as well too.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've been changing things up. I've been going full force, but since the beginning of COVID,
Okay.
did
So what's
something
that now?
positive.
Yeah, so that is something positive, and I think COVID was a tough time for a lot of people, so
Mhm.
it made people kind of readjust, like, how they were going to live in a world that was locked down, and, like, what did that look like, and how do you make money when everything was closing, and yeah, so I guess it was coming up with new ways to do
Definitely new
things and to yeah, new ways to do business and things like that, kind of the same with like this podcast that I decided that at the end of COVID that I was like, oh, I'm just gonna start a podcast and you
Mhm.
know talk
No,
about
it's amazing.
recovery and talk about addiction and talk about my struggles and share people's stories and
Yeah,
here I am a couple years later, still doing it and
crazy.
getting to share other people's stories, which I think is super important. Is that more people like yourself and my other guests that have come on is that, people come on and share their stories and be open and honest because your story, could reach somebody, a young girl that was
Mhm.
traumatized, that you could reach her, you could touch her and help her. And hopefully, these stories have positive impact on somebody who's
Yeah.
struggling.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, like, even on my social media, like, I still share my story. It's not just business, it's because you never know who you can touch, right? And there's
Yeah,
a lot of moms in this culture that think mom and wine night, like, like it's some kind of cool thing, whatever. And it's just like you sometimes you don't even realize how your excessive drinking is getting in the way. And that's something I even realized with myself was that if I want to excel in my life, if I want to achieve the things I want to achieve, I need to remove all the things that are holding me back and go all in. And that was alcohol, that was cigarettes, that was like, okay, the drugs, I wasn't really like hooked onto them. They were more like experimenting while in high school and stuff like that. But still, like, you know what I mean? Removing
yeah.
all those things, working through those traumas, working through, making peace, right? The whole forgiveness act as well.
You brought up the trauma again. Did you ever go to any type of therapy or counseling for what happened to you? Did you ever get any professional help, or have you just done a lot of self work? Because I know some people feel comfortable going to psychologists and some don't. I guess it's, your preference on how you feel.
It is. And, I did try. I did try again. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like real and raw with everything I say. So I'm sorry if like I like whatever, but I feel this system really needs to be changed completely. There are people like that I've worked with or counselors that I loved, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I
Hmm.
got whatever, but like going in and then they're like, oh, it's depression, here's some pills. And purposely I've done something and I just checked off that list just to see what would be said, and it's saying I have personality disorder. And I say, excuse me, so you're saying that I have personality disorder over this checklist that I just did, kind of thing, which was false information. So I've seen people even misdiagnose for something that they don't have, and that's completely like whatever. But anywho, I did try, and I honestly feel that I have learned more with my healing going through these self-help books or learning more about being more present. CBT was great too as well.
Hmm.
All of that stuff. I'm all about morning routines, like breath work, all of that. The holistic psychologist, I love her. I read her book, part of the membership as well. I tried that out. So I feel like it's just like really that self discovery. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that whole
Hmm.
healing kind of thing. But I really liked that approach rather than going the other way because I did try. And it could have been too, like a lot of times, like how they say counselors or like even coaches, right? There could be one that you can connect. It's like trial and error, finding the right one, right? And I did
Yeah.
have counselors that were great and stuff, but definitely I saw more success rate with myself going into that direction of the whole self help and doing that whole inner mindset work. That was like a game changer.
Okay. So in your recovery, are there any things that you do? I know because some people do like journaling, and you just mentioned breath works and things like
Mhm.
that. Like some people do yoga or things like that. Are there any things that are in your routine that you would like to share with the listeners? Because sometimes it's helpful that you take a bunch of ideas from other people and then use them in your own recovery. Um, to help you get through it. I've done some like meditation tapes and things like that. They help you to relax and to calm down and kind of like get out of your own head. Is there anything like that you use all the time?
Yeah. So first thing, nighttime, I always love listening. I have on my phone the affirmations playing. I always do that. So it's like reprogramming the subconscious mind. I love journaling. I do journaling. Breath work and meditations, like those are key. I always love to do that as well, first thing in the morning. So like you can feel like even too when you're doing the breath work, like that pressure, like like everything being released, like being in the present moment, just being in that present moment is so key. So I love putting those and doing those. working out too when I make my way to the gym. That's always good too.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Um, is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners? Anything you got coming up with your momtrepreneur stuff or anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, no, I would just love to share, like, wherever you are at your journey, that's like where you're meant to be, kind of thing. It's like taking that next step, like from where you are, not holding on to that guilt on yourself, learning to truly, fully love yourself. And when you're in that alignment too, like all these opportunities come, the right person comes, with the right next step comes, kind of thing, and just being open, right? I think that's very powerful. We're all in this journey together. There's not a magic wand that you wave and it's like everything's fixed in an instant. This is ongoing work. Like I had things that I thought I worked through that like resurfaced. I'm like, oh, I thought this, like I worked through this. I'm like, why am I bawling my eyes out because of this? Because I was triggered from something, right? So it's an ongoing process. There's no like magic fix kind of thing. So just be gentle with yourself, right? And tune into these amazing podcasts. See, you got the support here.
Well,
That's
thank you so
amazing.
much.
Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, Ashley. I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing your story. Um, I think your story is amazing, and I hope that it connects with all the listeners. And if you have been the victim of any type of abuse, please use your voice. Speak to somebody, talk to somebody, get help. Don't let it go unchecked because you need to speak up because these things can creep up later in your life and cause you all type of chaos. So if you have been the victim of abuse, please reach out to somebody. Um, before we end, I would just like to say that I have an announcement. I joined a podcast network called the World Podcast Network, and my last episode was chosen as one of the staff favorites. So I just wanted to say thank you to the podcast network, World Podcast Network, because that's awesome. I'm so hyped about it. Yeah, I got my own thing on a special page, getting a lot more views and stuff like that. So it's really exciting. So I'm going to continue to give the listeners more great interviews with a lot of great people coming up. So I'm really excited about the future of the podcast. And thank you all for listening. And thank you, Ashley, so much.
Thank you so
Um,
much for having
and
me.
no problem. All right.